some issues that you could possibly see while you are seed starting. And one of the most common things, at least that happens to us, are going to be those leggy seedlings. So this is when you see, so this picture right up here on the top of the seedlings kind of bending over to the side, really tall, skinny, bending over to the side. They are ones that, so typically what causes this is the light source is too far away. Typically for us, what it was for us actually with this time was we had a burnt out light bulb and I didn't notice it right away. So that way all of the lights, all of the seedlings were all bending towards the light that was working. So this usually happens when you have that happening, or not enough light, not close enough. And don't worry, you can fix this still. It's not completely, it's not hopeless at this point. So what I typically do is first fix the light source issue. So either fix your light bulb or lower your lights if you can, or if you can't lower your lights, raise up your plants. There's definitely, different ways you can go about doing that. But how you can try fixing this is, well, first of all, fix the lights. But then I show up here, there's a picture too of a fan that I have in our seed starting area. And I just use like one of the, just basic cheapo fans, you can get from anywhere, and had that there. And then you can use that. And I typically have that blowing on low, first of all, and then just kind of rotate those seedlings around. And it'll help to boost them, just to give them a little extra help to get them to be a little bit stronger. Because at this stage up here, when they're leggy, they're at a high risk of breaking because they are not strong at all. So having that fan can really help with that. And if you aren't already, make sure that you were watering from below. So you always want to make sure that you're giving them a good watering from below, so that way you're boosting their root system and not having shallow roots. You want to have their roots growing towards the bottom, towards where the water is. And I do have videos all about the leggy seedlings and all of that too, and a bunch of different ways to go about managing them. But I wanted to make sure I touched on that. Other things we've seen are things like damping off, which is just like a fungus issue that can happen. Typically, there's several things or several causes of this. And typically it is if you are watering from above, or it is going to be, so like just it's staying too moist. So you're giving it too much water, watering from above, or you had dirty seed starting trays and things like that. So whenever I go through and I first off start my seeds, I want to make sure that I clean all of my seed starting equipment super well. And I'm also starting with fresh seed starting soil. So I want to make sure that it's either brand new, fresh seed starting and not something from outdoors too, because I don't necessarily want compost or any of those microbes in the soil that I have outside. I do want all that outside, but not necessarily inside of my seed starting area. And then I just make sure that everything's all brand new. If I'm using the same stuff from last year, I'm going to make sure that I you can bake your soil, your seed starting mix in the oven, which is interesting. But typically we just start with new. I just get the Espoma seed starter mix. Comes in a bag, super simple to use. I absolutely love that stuff. And then have all new clean things as well. Like I just go through and I clean all of my seed starting mix with a ratio of bleach and water. Just a little bit of bleach goes a long way. So you only want to use a little bit of bleach, a lot of water, go through, clean up all of the stuff, and then I'm good to go. But once you have an issue, though, that's all great at preventing it. But if you have an issue, there's a bunch of other things you can do. So Doing things like ground cinnamon on top, like sprinkling cinnamon powder on top can be helpful. Um, and then also, so if you have damping off, you'll notice that there's sometimes a gnat issue too. So fixing things like that, like I use like yellow sticky traps. I'll place them next to the seed starting area sometimes. There's also organic sprays you can use. Again, the ground cinnamon, the any sort of like um, pepper will help too to repel them. Um, and if you have any sort of fungus growing on top, like I have a spray mixture of some hydrogen peroxide and water that I use, and I just kind of spray on the top. And all of that works really well. So, just first of all, I mean, I always try and go with prevention first, but if you do have issues, I always stick with these organic methods and they always work really well.